Thursday. I haven't mentioned Halloween lately because after 6th grade, mom and dad told me I was too old for trick-or-treating. It's a big shame because you can't beat tons of free candy, and besides, the rest of my family is really getting into the mood. Admittedly, Roderick's muddy hand replica was pretty convincing, but he should have warned me before showing it to me, because it was only then that I realized I'd never returned "Hello, You're Dead" to Roderick's room, and he probably figured out I'd watched it. Now that I've seen that, I don't think I'll ever borrow any of Roderick's movies again, because the last thing I want to do is provide him with more fuel for his pranks. And that's not even the most ridiculous thing that's been going on lately. Let me just say that Manny's choice of costume was a little controversial. Susan, why'd you get Manny a Hitler costume? It's not supposed to be Hitler, you're looking into it too much. No, Greg, Frank's tripping, that's just Charlie Chaplin. In the end, Dad told me to put a lock on my room and stop bringing my history textbook home. To be honest, I don't blame him, but I do wonder just what Manny did during his time with Aunt Veronica. And before you ask, I'm not going to be dressing up this year. I know Manny probably wants me to be Stalin, but you couldn't pay me to do that. Besides, I think I'm too old to dress up for Halloween anyways, and I'm pretty sure everyone at school would think I was immature if I did that. Now, if only Rowley got the memo. Rowley told me me to come over to his house so he could show me something cool. I naively assumed he got a new video game, but he just wanted to show me his Halloween costume. Oh, great, don't tell me you're also a Nazi like my little brother. No, I'm supposed to be an STD's manager, and why would I want to be a Nazi? They're like bad guys, and I don't like bad guys. In all honesties, Rowley's costume of a K-pop manager was way better than his pathetic excuse of a night costume. Even though I was pretty sure no one would be able to tell who he was, I think Rowley realized that too, because he wanted me to do a group costume with him. Say, do you still have that wig? Because I could get my mom to make you a dress and you could be 50 young, or so young. Yeah, I lost it and that's not gonna happen. I'm just glad Holly wasn't with us because I do not want to cross-dress in public ever again. I'd also like to confess that I still have the wig, though I haven't decided what to do with it yet. I'm currently leaning towards scaring Roderick by dressing as a serial killer girl from a recent horror movie, but Dad's reaction to the fake Roderick cross-dressing is making me wonder if I should try something else. Friday. I thought Rowley would be the only one at our school to dress up for Halloween, but a lot of kids decided to, so I was looking like the odd one out. I think I'll take back my previous comment about me being too old to dress up for Halloween, because there is only about 4 or 5 other kids who didn't dress up. They consisted of Alex Aruda and his fellow nerds. Believe it or not, but some of the costumes were actually pretty good. Trista came dressed as the main character from this fantasy novel, and she looked like she spent weeks working on her costume. Hey there, Greg. Also, Holly dressed up, and it was only then that I learned that I'd missed out on something potentially interesting. Oh, did you not hear about the Halloween costume they're holding this afternoon? Well, there's a contest going on. Holly told me that the contest was supposed to help fund the senior prom. They used to open a haunted house around this time of year, but that got canceled after too many people got injured last year. Come to think of it, Roderick and several of his friends were seniors that year, so I wonder if they had anything to do with the injuries. Going back to the contest, Holly said there was a $2 admission fee, and that initially put me off entering. But she then mentioned that the winner would get a $50 card for Papa Tony's, and as soon as I heard that, I had a sudden change of heart. Since I didn't have a costume, I photocopied the back of a library book and went with that. I'm Silverstein, and I'd like to tell you to stay in school, stay off drugs, and read The Giving Tree. Unsurprisingly, I did not win, but I did get an honorable mention for having one of the funnier costumes, and at least people knew who I was supposed to be, which is more than I could say about Rowley. I mean, if I didn't know any better, I would have just thought he was going on a date or something. What are you supposed to be, Jefferson, a businessman? No, I'm not a businessman. I'm the manager for STD. Man, I'm not saying STD. I'm just gonna say, uh, K-pop bands. I don't even know, bro. I'm not saying that shit anymore. Riley didn't even enter the contest, but I doubt he would have won if he did. That's not to say that everyone who competed have a good costume, as Travis Hickley won and he came as a garbage can. Don't ask me what the judges were thinking when they chose him. Nothing much happened at school for the rest of the day, and I plan on going home and playing some Twisted Wizard. Well, I was until Holly told me about a party. Alyssa Grove's holding a Halloween party tonight. Are you coming? I was pretty surprised that a girl invited me to her party, but Holly told me that Alyssa actually wanted me to come, just in case something strange happened. She must have heard about Bethany Breen's party and the frozen yogurt incident, and I wasn't about to turn down Holly's offer. Holly also told me to dress up since it was a Halloween party, and I first thought of combining my pirate getup with the Silverstein mask I made earlier. But then I remembered why I'd been invited in the first place, and I decided to wear a suit and go as James Bond. I also told Riley about the party, and I was certain that we were going to be the two coolest guys there. Fortunately, Mom caught me leaving the house, and she proceeded to interrogate me about what exactly I was about to do. And once she knew enough about that, she decided to punish me before I did anything. I want you to take Manny with you. I told Mom the party would be full of teenagers and that it wouldn't be suitable for a 3-year-old, but she said she'd go to the party if I wouldn't take Manny. So in short, I was stuck with him. We then went over to Rowley's house, and I discovered he'd swap his manager outfit for something much worse. Hola, mio amigo, are we going? I tried to convince Rowley that his previous costume was better, but he just regurgitated that I'd said about no one being able to tell what he was. And if that wasn't enough, he also said Manny's costume was cute and thought it was a miniature version of mine. Well, until Manny decided to open his mouth. Jewish. I don't think I could read that on YouTube. I'm not gonna lie. Um. Uh. Well, let's just say Manny's getting into a bit of method acting for his costume. Anywho, I got tired of Manny's anti-Semitic remarks after a few minutes, at which point I suggested to Rowley that we did the only logical thing. Run. Luckily, Manny can't run very fast on his little legs, and it wasn't long before we lost him. Rowley asked me if it was okay to leave Manny alone, but I told him that Manny knew how to shut off the heat in our house, that finding his way home would be nothing for him. And anyhow, we were going to Alyssa's party, and Manny was the last thing I wanted to think about. Oh, you're here already. We were just setting everything up. I hadn't been to any parties since Bethany Breen's last year, and I had no idea what to expect. As it turns out, Alyssa's party was huge, and it felt like everyone I knew from school got invited. Even Ruby Bird was there, which surprised me since I highly doubt she's the kind of person who gets invited to tons of parties. She was also the only one there without a costume, and she stood by the refreshment table looking creepy. On the other hand, this is the first boy-girl party I'd been to since Albert Sandy's, and I decided to forget about Ruby and just enjoy the party as much as possible. Amazingly, everything was going well, and I thought I wouldn't have to look into anything for once. At least I did until I learned we'd be doing a courage test. The test consisted of placing a flag in Alyssa's backyard in the dark, and the team who went the furthest would win a huge bowl of candy. Naturally, I wanted to win that, and I convinced Rowley and Holly to join me. Rowley bailed out after about half a second, but me and Holly decided to go further. It was a while we were doing that I realized we were right around the Mingos, where the Mingos usually hang out. But to my surprise, we didn't encounter a single one of them while we were looking around. Alright, Meckley, I know you're hiding in there. Holly then asked me what I was talking about, and I told her about the Mingos, but she just brushed that off as my attempt at scaring her. But I guess I'll have to show them to her to prove that they're real. Anyways, we planted the flag and went back inside, where I discovered that the live band had arrived, and that there would be a band. I'd heard there would be a band playing, but I never expected it to be Loaded Diaper. If that wasn't enough, Roderick then recognized me. Why, hello there, bub. If you some slow music for you and your little girlfriend. Well, too bad. Well, because you don't do that. Yeah, whatever. I don't care. Just don't do anything stupid. In all honesty, Loaded Diaper music did suit the Halloween theme, and once again, I thought nothing could go wrong. Well, until all the power went out. Luckily, I still had my flashlight, and me and Holly decided to see if we could find the fuse box. It was then that I discovered that someone was wandering around in the dark. I had no idea where the fuse box could be, and I was tempted to follow Ruby and see where she was going, but Holly said she'd been in here several times, and she thought she knew where it might be. Unfortunately, we then ran into the Mingos in the hallway. Once we retreated to the safety of the basement, I decided that the two of us were no match for the Mingos, that we had to get even with them. I started off by locating Alyssa so I could ask her if she knew anything about the Mingos and Ruby. Alright, I checked upstairs and it looks like the Mingos kids are behind the outage. You didn't invite them, did you? Oh no, I didn't. Are you saying they got in somehow? I should have made sure I locked the back door after the courage test. Well, okay, but something tells me they got in before that. By the way, did you invite Ruby Bird to this party? Ruby? I might have gone a little far with the invitations, but I don't think anybody would bring her along. I had a feeling that Ruby hadn't been invited, and now that I knew she wasn't, this only meant she was up to no good. It was at that point that I began wondering if she was a Mingo and that she was supposed to be some kind of scout for them. Now that I knew Ruby wasn't welcome here, I knew we had to do something. I got Alyssa to draw up a map of her house and gathered up some stuff from the basement to use as weapons. And with that, we were ready to roll. Almost everyone wanted to go on patrol since there was nothing else to do in the dark. We ended up splitting everybody into groups to patrol separately, and I was with Holly and Trisha. Rather surprisingly, we didn't see any Mingos until we stumbled upon a bizarre scene in the Grove's living room. You seem pretty cool, little guy, but are you a supporter of our almighty Lord? Of course I am. All hail Satan and his almighty presence. It's a good thing that the Mingos couldn't see us in the dark because I don't think they wanted to hear what they were wanted us to hear what they were talking about. The guy talking to Manny claimed they were a bunch of Satanists, and that the Grove's house was built on top of an ancient burial ground. I'm pretty sure that isn't true, but the fact that Manny appeared to be agreeing with them wasn't a good sign. The Mingo's conversation with Manny was ultimately cut short after they heard some girl yelling at someone. Should have probably made more people stay in the basement. You dirty cheating bastard, I never should have trusted you. This left just Ruby Bird sitting on the love seat, keeping a lookout. I prayed she wouldn't notice us in the dark, but when the lights came on, then only then did she realize that we weren't all that well hidden. Just as the lights came on, Ruby spotted us and charged at us. I thought we were about to get bitten, and I was about to make a run for it when Trista got her. Trista's costume was really cool. We never thought she was actually going to use the bow and arrows she bought. Trista said her dad was a hunting enthusiast and she got the arrows from him, which meant they were actually laced with that tranquilizing stuff. She also told us she knew about Ruby's tendency to bite people. I'm not sure who hasn't heard of that by now, though. With Ruby unconscious, we tied her up with a bunch of extension cords and shut her in a closet so she couldn't escape. After that, we ran into Rowley, who'd been patrolling with Shirag and Abigail. Just by looking at them, I could tell they'd run into Mingo scouts and they hadn't been as lucky as us. Rowley said they actually got chased by Manny and the Mingos, who were apparently telling him about being Satanists. Apparently, Abigail caught their attention after she found her boyfriend Michael Sampson making out in the bathroom with Shirley Belanger. Yeah, I had my doubts that Michael ended his affair with Sherry, but even after Abigail broke up with Rowley. That's it, I'm breaking up with you for good, you good for nothing cheater. Apparently, Abigail yelling at Michael attracted with the Mingos interviewing Manny, which in turn got rid of him. I guess something good came out of that. After having seen what mess I'd gotten everybody into, I was about to call off the patrols when I heard a knock on the door. And unfortunately, it was just about the last person I wanted to see right now. At first, I wasn't sure what Mom was doing here, but a quick glance at Holly's phone revealed that it was now 10 at night and she was probably here to take Manny home. While I was eager to get rid of him, the Mingos had trashed the Grove's house and I knew Mom would think we did it. But while I was still thinking about what to do, Shirag let her in. Why, hello there, Mrs. Heffley. I thought Mom was going to grab Manny and leave, but she then saw the state of the Grove's living room and promptly accused us of trashing it. Is this what you irresponsible kids have been doing all night? That's it. You're going to be cleaning all this up right now. I tried to tell Mom that this wasn't our fault, but she said that she knew better than to trust a bunch of teenagers and that she was going to stay for the rest of the party. I thought for sure that we were screwed until she noticed what Manny and the Mingos were doing. Oh, did you invite Manny to hang out with you? That's so sweet. The worst part was that Manny thought that Mingo's ritual was fake and she actually joined in. I expected her to tell him to stop since she thinks magic and monsters is teaching me sorcery, but I guess she'll let Manny get away with absolutely anything. With Mom now siding with the Mingos, I went back to the basement to see if I could come up with a new plan. It was then that I learned that Roderick and his bandmates had just what I needed to get rid of the Mingos. So Greg, do you really not know how electricity works? That thing took us a half second to fix. Well, okay, but Mom and Manny and those Mingo kids are trying to summon a demon. Could you help with that? Demons, huh? Say, Rod, didn't we bring that smoke machine because you thought it looked demonic? As soon as Bill said that, I knew exactly what to do, and asked Roderick for the keys to his van. He did take some convincing, but once I reminded him that Mom and Manny were involved with this, he agreed almost instantly. And with that, I grabbed more extension cords, hooked up the smoke machine from outside, and turned it on. Amazingly, the Mingos thought their ritual had worked and they all ran outside, accompanied by Mum and Manny, and before they could realize their mistake, I locked them out. I'm not sure if Mingos ended up finding the smoke machine, but to be honest, I don't really care. There were no disruptions for the rest of the night, just everyone having a great time. Well, that is, except Mum, Manny, and the Mingos. It was only after midnight that the party started dying down, and everyone began to leave. And unfortunately, for me, Holly was one of the first people to go. I just got a call from my mom. She's picking me up soon. I guess I'll see you tomorrow. I was about to say goodbye to Holly when I realized that Mom was gonna ground me for a million years after all the stuff I did. So just as Holly was about to leave, I asked her something I never thought I'd say. Hey Holly, I've got nowhere to go for the night. Is it okay if I stay at your place? Amazingly, Holly told me I could stay over, and I could sleep in Heather's room since she was away at college. Because I shouldn't have expected Holly to let me sleep in her own room. And anyhow, Dad's been threatening me to send me to Spag Union if he ever catches me getting Holly pregnant. Though it's not like I'm gonna do that, because I've seen this TV show on teen mothers, and I do not want to put Holly through all that. All in all, I don't think I could have would have predicted anything that happened tonight. But I think the end result was definitely worth it. Saturday. It's a good thing I wrote down everything that happened last night because I was really confused when I woke up this morning. In fact, it actually took me a few minutes to remember where I was, but once I did, safe to say one of my best mornings in a long time. Good morning. Spent the rest of the morning watching TV and discussing the party until Dad came to pick me up. I braced myself for what he'd say about me spending the night at a girl's house, but he seemed way more concerned about Mum. What was your mother doing at that party? I haven't seen her since last night. I told Dad about Mom joining the Mingos, though I left at the part about them being Satanists. That alone was enough for Dad to filing a missing persons report for Mom, though he still haven't found her as I'm writing this. Once I got home, I spent most of the afternoon doing homework before I decided to go over to Rowley's to see if he wanted to play video games. But when I found him, he was with the last person I expected to see him with. I never thought Rowley and Abigail would get back together, but I guess Abigail realizing that Michael hadn't forgotten about Sherry was the last straw. To be honest, I'm actually quite happy that Rowley got a girlfriend, even if it is the same girl who only dated him last year to spite him, despite her existing boyfriend. Hopefully their relationship will last longer this time, with Michael out of the picture for good. After that, I decided to give Rowley and Abigail some time to themselves, and I went back home. I was about to boot up Formula One racing when I received a call from Melissa, and I discovered one of the consequences of what I did to Ruby Bird. Alright, so my dad was cleaning out a closet, and he found that weird Ruby girl inside. Did you know that she was one of the Mingo kids disguised as a girl? I'm not sure how she got in there, but I'm pretty sure it's something to do with that beer Evan Whitehead bought. I don't even. I know I didn't get. For a minute, I was worried that I wouldn't be invited to any more parties after failing my duty, but Liz told me that I should come to her next party to prevent anyone from sneaking alcohol in. Bro, that's a lame ass party. I'm gonna be straight up. If anything, that's gonna be way easier than dealing with the Mingos. After that, I realized I still hadn't gotten my revenge on Roderick for his muddy hand. After leafing through some photo albums, I determined that Dad read Roderick the Giving Tree, and you could probably see where this went. Anyway, that's the end. That's actually the end of the Yogurtverse. I don't think there's going to be any more books made. There hasn't been one in a very long time. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the series. Make sure to like, subscribe, and yeah, peace out.